Madam President, I come to the floor today to ask the Senate to pass a resolution honoring the 50th anniversary of the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, known as FLETC, that is headquartered in my home state of Georgia. This is a center that trains federal law enforcement officers that President Trump has directed to help restore law and order in communities across our country faced with dramatic increases in violence. As part of Operation Legend, the FBI, ATF, DEA, U.S. Marshals Service, and Homeland Security have been deployed to Kansas City, Chicago, Albuquerque, and Detroit to reduce alarming and rising levels of violent crime across America. Sadly, our brave women and men of law enforcement are under attack. Rioters have physically assaulted law enforcement, throwing rocks at them and more, causing countless injuries. It's clear the recent surge in violence has been driven in part by a lack of leadership from left-wing politicians who refuse to prosecute crime and endorse defunding the police. They're clearly intent on politicizing and demonizing our law enforcement. Today, I'm asking the Senate to recognize the critical centers that train these dedicated officers. For half a century, FLETC has trained the next generation of highly qualified law enforcement. Headquartered at former Glencoe Naval Air Station in Georgia, FLETC has been instrumental in getting violent criminals off the streets and protecting our communities for 5 decades. Every year, FLETC trains nearly 70,000 officers from 95 federal law enforcement agencies, as well as state, local, and tribal law enforcement agencies. This includes agents from FBI, DEA, ATF, Customs and Border Protection agencies, and others. It includes the Secret Service, the Park Police, the U.S. Capitol Police officers who keep all of us here safe every day. In Georgia, FLETC is a cornerstone of our coastal community where agents train in a mock town, complete with banks, shops, and hotels to mimic real-world scenarios. There are other programs in cyber terrorism, active shooter threats, and financial forensics. As FLETC Director Thomas Walters recently said, FLETC is the only institution in the U.S. that has the capability and capacity to train the new federal officers that will replace thousands of officers that retire from federal law enforcement in a typical year. At a time when law enforcement is under more scrutiny, more pressure than ever, it's important that we take this opportunity to recognize the hard work that goes into training and preparing our federal law enforcement officers, particularly in my home state of Georgia. So, Madam President, as if in legislative session, I ask unanimous consent that the Senate proceed to the consideration of S-Res 668 submitted earlier today.
The clerk will report.
Senate Resolution 668, commemorating the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center's 50th anniversary.
Is there objection to proceed to the measure? Without objection, the Senate will proceed.
I ask unanimous consent the resolution be agreed to, the preamble be agreed to, and that the motions to reconsider be considered, made, and laid upon the table with no intervening action or debate.
Is there objection? Without objection,